Welcome to The Life of Hair. My name's James Atkinson. Thank you for joining me in this week's episode. Now, this week's episode is an absolute belter because we are going to look at the 3 tests that you can do to your hair very easily to determine the quality of your hair and the sort of services that your hair will withstand. So when we're doing consultations on clients in salon, we can really drill down into what is achievable before we commit to doing their hair and start having to unravel the promises we may have made to them halfway through the service. Never a great conversation to be having, one I've done personally, so I know exactly how this feels. But today, as a hairstylist, I'm much more cautious. I take much more time to ensure that my client's hair is in the sort of condition that I need it to be to get the service done. Because then it gives me opportunity to offer different services, treatments, etc. to rebuild the hair prior to doing the service that they would like. So it's really important that we understand how we go about the 3 primary tests. Now, before we get into today's video, thank you for tuning in again. If you're new to the channel, then do subscribe. There's weekly content. There's also my new channel, which is More the Life of Hair. Lots of different types of content on that channel. And we have got a weekly live on this channel talking all things hair. So it's a Q&A session. Bring your hair questions along and I will do all I can to answer them for you. So until then, look after yourself, enjoy this episode, hit that thumbs up button if you enjoy it, and chat to me down in the comments. I love to hear from you guys. I do everything I can to get back to you. There's so many comments that come through these days. It's very tricky sometimes, but I will do my best. Have a wonderful week. Okay, on with today's testing. So what we're going to do is first of all look at the porosity test. I've got some real hair here that I cut off a client, and what we're going to do is take one piece of this hair and we are going to hold it up like so. It's going to be very difficult for you to see one piece of hair, but I've definitely got one piece of hair. And what we're going to do is we're going to determine what's the root and what's the end. So if it was on yourself, you just pick a piece of hair up and you're going to run your fingers against the grain. Now, if it feels really, really smooth without any resistance, then the cuticles are generally closed. This means the porosity is low and therefore the condition of your hair is good. If it feels bumpy, coarse, grainy, for instance, then it's quite often, it means the cuticles are raised and the porosity of your hair isn't as good as it could be. So obviously things that we can do to fix the porosity is fill the hair with protein treatment, for instance, a really good solution to filling those cavities that has been created. There's lots of products on the market now that will sort of artificially fill the porosity, but nothing is a permanent solution. Once the cuticles are raised to the point where they're completely damaged, there is no fixing those cuticles any further. So be aware that once you create permanent, or once you create some damage to those cuticles, you'll never get them back to virgin-like quality. E.g., virgin hair is hair that is completely uncoloured and unheat styled. So bear that in mind, guys. It is not possible to turn your hair back to virgin quality, but you can obviously do your hair the world of good by filling it with proteins and the like to protect and create a artificial virgin-like quality to your hair. That means the colour will take better, your hair will be stronger, and of course that means your colour services will last a lot longer. There is one other test we can do with porosity as well, so we're going to change angle to see this one. Right. Okay, so the thing that we can do is again take one piece of hair. So let's just remove one strand of hair from the bundle. Here we go. And then we can drop it into this water. Now you must do this to clean hair. It can't have any products in it that are keeping the cuticles closed. But effectively what will happen is if the hair is porous, then what we'll see is the water will get absorbed by the hair because it's hygroscopic, like a sponge, and it will start to sink just like a sponge full of water would. Now, when the cuticle's closed and the hair's in good condition, it's hydrophobic, meaning that it won't absorb the water in the same way, and it will just sit on the surface of the water, a bit like the feather from a duck. Pick this glass up actually, and I'm going to pick it right off the surface because this hair is in good condition. I actually know this is virgin hair, colour. Oh, there we go. You can actually see it just against my own hair there. So this is uncolour treated, no heat styling, virgin hair basically. And so therefore it's hydrophobic. It's not sinking to the bottom, it's not sitting halfway. Now, I know there's a lot of people who are poo-pooing the idea that this is a real thing, you know, this doesn't work, this test. But if we think about hair, we know that it is a sponge-like texture. It is hygroscopic if it is porous, and hydrophobic if it is in good condition. Those things we know. L'Oreal Paris themselves do advocate this test to test porosity. So I think if that's good enough for them, it's definitely good enough for you and me. I know that they spend absolutely millions of pounds per year doing tests on hair. So if they do it, I'm happy with it. So that we can see that this hair is in very good condition, and therefore we could go ahead with any other tests that we may want to do. Now, what are the next tests that we could do? The next test that we could do is a strand test. Now, a strand test is where we pre-colour the hair to test whether it's capable of achieving the result that we'd like to do. Now, some people advocate we do this with tint. I tend to just do it with bleach. Very, very simple test, very, very easy to do. So we're going to do a little demonstration of that right now, so you guys know exactly how I'd potentially go about doing this on a client, and also how I remove the strand test for the job. So here we have my lovely model. First thing we're going to need is a pair of scissors and a comb. So the first thing we need to recognize is that the hair can be different in different areas on the head. So if it is, we need to take multiple strand tests, and sometimes we need to take strand tests in areas where the client may or may not be able to see their strand test. Now, obviously, lots of people just dive straight into the back, but this isn't necessarily the hair that we need to test. Sometimes we need to test hair in a more obvious spot. So I'm going to show you my tips and tricks for taking a strand test. What I do is I take a oval shaped piece of hair, or like a slither of hair, just like so. Okay. It's a bit longer than an oval shape, more of an oblong. And then we're going to get this piece of hair, we're going to hold it on the very ends, and we're going to back comb the hair to the root. Okay, so we've back combed the hair away from the ends, and it's bunched up at the root area here. What we're going to do is ensure that we get as much of the hair away as possible. Then we're going to come in with our scissors on a 45-degree angle, and we're going to slowly, from about 50% of the way down the hair roughly, cut down towards the ends of the hair. Now, here's our very, very useful strand test that we're going to use. So we'll pop that down out of the way. Now watch what happens when we then take out the back combing. So remember, we've just cut off this big piece of hair, but because we've back combed the hair, and this is no trickery here, watch how long it becomes. It goes back to pretty much the original length that we started with. All that's happened is that we've taken some of the weight away, and it will seamlessly blend back in to the client's hair. No short bits, no sticky out bits. Perfect. So that's the best way, from my humble opinion. So down here we've got some blue powder bleach and some peroxide. Now, in terms of peroxide choices, use the peroxide you think you're going to need to get the job done. Don't use a weaker peroxide, because it will give you an unrealistic result in terms of the damage that might be created. And also, you may not be able to, or you may believe you're not be able to achieve the result because you used a weaker peroxide than you were going to originally. So we're going to jump over now to the second angle so you can see the process. And it's a very rudimentary test, but it's a very, very important test. So here is our blonde piece of hair that we took off our lady. Now this lady wants to know if she can go lighter than she is already, and so what we would simply do is take the hair and saturate it with lightener. Don't oversaturate it, don't put more lightener on than you would do normally, because I've seen people do that sometimes. And equally, when we're doing these kind of things, the other thing to remember is if your technique is going to be open air process, like a balayage for instance, then we don't want to then fold our foil up and going to get a misrepresentative result. What we want to do is keep it completely open like this. If it's going to be a foiling technique where we're going to incubate the colour, then yeah, we can just simply fold our foil as if we're going to trap in some of the moisture and prevent the product from drying out. That's the one big thing, is that if you're going to do an open air process and then you're going to close up the foil, you're going to keep the product moister for longer, and therefore you're going to get an unexpected result when it actually comes to doing your balayage technique. So it's really, really important that we bear that in mind, guys, that we make sure we keep the foil in the same position that we were going to use it in. So we would then just simply process that for the manufacturer's recommended time. For this instance, it's 50 minutes. So check it after 30 minutes, then 40, then 50, for example. So it's really important to obviously keep an eye on the condition, because remember, bleach is a corrosive product. The longer it's on the hair, the more it will degrade the quality of the hair, the more that it will break the hair down. So if we can get the job done in 30 minutes, great. That means that we can keep the hair in better condition because of the nature of when we mix peroxide with an alkaline. Now that segues perfectly into our final test. This is a test that isn't done that much at the moment in salons. I don't see it very much in salons, and I don't hear many people talking about it. And the final test we can do is incompatibility. Now, incompatibility was a very popular test many moons ago. I don't know why it stopped being a popular test, but it is a very, very important test to do. And it's one that probably stopped being done because we don't carry perm solutions in the salons anymore. And one of the reasons we might do an incompatibility test is to see whether there's any metallic salts present, to see if there's anything that's going to cause a chemical reaction to the hair prior to us colouring it. So we may have all heard of products like Sun-In or metallic salt lighteners that have got hydrogen peroxide and a sodium-based corrosive agent, because that is effectively what we're doing when we're lightening hair. We are corroding the natural pigments so that we can no longer see those natural pigments and replacing them with new ones. So in this specific test, what we're going to use is a perm solution, which is alkaline, and we're going to then mix it with peroxide. And the peroxide and alkaline is very, very akin to what you would get in terms of pH when we mixed bleach together, but we don't get the lifting qualities of bleach. We're going to put the hair into the bowl, and then we're going to leave it to process for 10, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, depends on what you feel like you want to do. You will start to see some kind of reaction sooner rather than later if there's metallic salts present. So in this bowl we have got equal parts perm solution, the step 1, the alkaline part of a perm solution, to equal parts peroxide. The level of peroxide is 30 volume, but to be absolutely perfectly frank, it doesn't really specifically matter what level of peroxide you use when doing this test. All you need to do is ensure that you saturate the hair well when it is in the bowl, and then just leave it to process for however long you want it to be on the hair effectively. I mean, I know that's fairly vague, but we're not looking for the quality of the hair here. We're looking for any leaching of colour that would be kind of reddish brown, and to see if there's any adverse reactions like excessive heat. That will signify that there would be some form of unnatural chemical or unnatural mineral in the hair, and that would indicate that there might be contraindications moving forward. That's when you could go and do your strand test to check the quality of the hair. And then obviously the final thing you could do once you've done all those tests and you've dried the hair out is check the porosity. So there is really room to do all of these tests in succession, working in reverse of the order that we've done them in right now. But it is a really great way of testing someone's hair if you're really not sure about the outcome of their hair. And also you can obviously then explain to them that you've done 3 tests on the hair, you've done incompatibility, you've done strand test, and you've done a porosity test, and with the results from that you can or cannot do their hair. I would never overpromise. Remember, always underpromise to overachieve. That is the golden rule of dealing with clientele in my eyes. Anyway, I've been James Atkinson. This is The Life of Hair. I look forward to hearing from you down in the comment section, and I'll see you again for another episode very, very soon.